All right, so move on to the next segment. We're going to switch our gears here to the world of UFC and the MMA world. And I'll be sharing my fight summary on the fight that took place last night between Sean O'Malley and Merab in the main event of UFC 306. So, we seen a title change in the main event of UFC 306. We saw Merab defeat Sean O'Malley by unanimous decision to become the new bantamweight champion in the UFC in the main event of UFC 306 at the Sphere. So, I'll be sharing my fight summary on the fight. Something that I did learn watching the main event of UFC 306 last night. The keys to success and the keys to winning against significant strikers and big title fights is being an elite grappler, being an elite wrestler. And history has repeated itself now several times in big championship fights with the elite wrestler slash grappler getting the better of the significant striker. Ask Merab. He just out-wrestled the bantamweight championship from Sean O'Malley. Ask Dricus du Plessis, who just dominated Israel Adesanya in the main event of UFC 305. Ask Bilal Muhammad, who wrestled away the welterweight title for Leon Edwards this summer. I mean, Merab just outclassed Sean O'Malley from start to finish in the main event of UFC 306 last night. He earned a total of 6 takedowns, earned a total of 10 minutes of ground control. I knew Sean O'Malley, when I was talking about this fight last week, I knew Sean O'Malley needed to be prepared to have his grappling game on point, grappling defense on point, stuff the takedowns. Be alert for this fight going to the ground because you knew Merab was going to take you to the ground. We all know Sean O'Malley ain't no good grappler. So we knew this was coming. And him and his team had known this was coming. But being dismantled, being out-wrestled, being dominated on the mats, in that octagon, that's how Merab won this bantamweight championship last night. And I will admit, the main event did lack fireworks because I did say last week that the styles makes fights. And I thought Sean O'Malley's style of being a significant striker against a Merab who can throw his hand, let his hands fly as well, being an elite grappler and wrestler. I thought this had all the elements of being a classic and being the best bantamweight championship fight that we ever saw in UFC history. And I was wrong because this was one-sided and really boring, if you want my honest opinion. I just expected way more in the main event of UFC 306. But going back to what Merab did, I am proud of him for this masterclass performance. Merab really dominated and made a pound-for-pound fighter and Sean O'Malley look very, very ordinary. I mean, I had Sean O'Malley in my top 5 pound-for-pound list. And he just made him look like an ordinary contender, an unranked contender. That's how easy this was for Merab last night. And Sean O'Malley did have some moments where he was landing that strike, the big knee to the nose. Oh my gosh, I don't know how Merab stood up from that, didn't get dropped, didn't get knocked out. But whew, that nose is as strong as Pinocchio's. Oh my goodness. But Sean O'Malley, other than that, Sean O'Malley really couldn't get going offensively this whole entire fight. And it was all Merab's world with the takedowns, the ground and pound, the chokes, the ground control, the submissions on Sean O'Malley. He just outclassed him. And it was shocking to see this for 5 championship rounds for a total of 25 minutes in the main event of UFC 306. But I am proud of Merab. He extends his win streak to a 10-fight winning streak. He's now the king of the bantamweight division, being the champion now. I would like to see this rematch. I do believe that Sean O'Malley is deserving an automatic rematch, even though this fight was one-sided. Sean O'Malley has been a really good bantamweight fighter for a long time. Took the title from Aljamain Sterling last year. Got his lick back defeating Marlon Vera earlier this year. Just came up short last night against Merab. So I wouldn't be mad if Dana White gives Sean O'Malley this automatic rematch in early 2025. I don't know. I could see Sean O'Malley moving up to featherweight, and I think he would be an exciting fighter to have for the featherweight division. But I do think he's gonna want that rematch against Merab, and I think we should be excited to see it in early 2025 if Dana White gives him an automatic rematch. Now, let's get into the rest of the UFC 306 card. Now, in the co-main event in the women's division, we've seen Valentina shut out Alex Grasso by unanimous decision to become to reclaim the flyweight title in the women's division. Now, just like the main event, I thought this trilogy between Valentina and Alex Grasso was going to live up to the hype because the first two fights were really good between the two respective women. But it was one-sided, and just like the main event, I had one fighter dominate on the ground from start to finish and have a masterclass performance. That's what Valentina did against Alex Grasso last night. And it was really, really impressive for what she did in terms of grappling and wrestling, because she had over 16 minutes of ground control during this fight. And looking at it, I mean, Alex Grasso did try her best to make this a competitive fight. Looking at the stat sheet, she did land a total of 18 significant strikes, but she could not overcome that grappling that Valentina had for her. So maybe that's the end for them. I mean, you really don't see a fourth fight. You'll be lucky to see a fourth fight in combat sports nowadays. But who knows? Maybe we'll see a fourth fight between these two respective women one day down the line in the flyweight division. Now, the final fight I'll talk about on this UFC 306 card, you did have Diego Lopez defeat Brian Ortega at the featherweight division. Diego Lopez defeated Brian Ortega by unanimous decision in a 3-round fight that took place on this undercard. Now, I'm glad we finally got to see the featherweight fight that was supposed to take place at UFC 303 this summer. But Brian Ortega pulling out, we all know the history of Diego Lopez having to get in there against Dan Ige. And this was a belt-to-ass treatment from start to finish, too. Diego Lopez called his shot. He had his way against Brian Ortega. And I thought he was going to finish him off in the first round. How explosive and how aggressive Diego Lopez was catching Brian Ortega off guard with them significant strikes that he was landing in the first round. But Diego Lopez got the unanimous decision victory. Really a good performance by him. Called his shot. He's on a 5-fight winning streak now. Got the biggest win of his career against Brian Ortega. This could catapult him, like I said last week, this could catapult him to being a top 8, top 5 featherweight fighter in the new rankings that will come out. And he demanded to Dana White, give me a title shot, give me a title shot. And I like that, because I am a fan of Diego Lopez, and I want to see what's next for him at this featherweight division. You're not going to give him a title shot, the winner of Ilia Topuria and Max Holloway. I like to see him possibly get in there against a veteran like Alexander Volkanovski, or another contender at this featherweight division. So I think he's got a bright future, but definitely a well-deserved victory for him last night against Brian Ortega. But those are my thoughts on the Sean O'Malley versus Merab fight. That's my fight summary, and that is my thoughts on the rest of the UFC 306 undercard.